Erica, tell us a little bit about the philosophy of learning at Citi and how you utilize that philosophy in particular with executives, because I would think that would be a little bit different than how you might do it with employees at large.
Philosophy of learning, I'd say, wow, that's a big ask. I don't know if I can speak for all of Citi or all of learning. So I'd rather just say what me and my team try to do is we try to create the right environment for learning to take place everywhere. So learning is ubiquitous. It has to happen everywhere all the time. We have investment bankers. It makes up half of the staff. Actually, it's not half of the staff, but they definitely remind us that they make up most of the revenue. So we can't take them off their desks and bring them into these great learning programs where they have time to reflect and connect, which is also very important. We really need to make sure that we're creating the right environment and the right culture that enables growth and progress, which is the purpose of the organization. And for executives, I won't lie, it's tricky. I saw a great graph earlier today which showed the expertise of learner and what is the best methodology for engaging them. And once you get up to the expert level, which a lot of the executives are in many areas of the industry and in leadership also, getting them in a room to teach them something, they want to learn, they don't want to be taught, they want to teach. So a lot of what we do, we use our executives to teach programs. And as we heard, having them come in and present and talk about stories is one thing, but we do actually have them stay and teach a 2.5-hour course at least once a year, and that's even the CEO. And they do it virtually, and they do it in person as well. So finding those right opportunities and using the process of preparing them to be faculty is actually our stealth program to teach them. And we do that one-on-one. And whatever is the topic, we really challenge them and say, well, do you really think that? Are you going to be able to stand up in front of 200 people and speak authentically to it? And sometimes they're like, no, I think that's a bunch of crap. I'm like, great, well, let's hear it. And we'll, over the course of a couple of months, and sometimes it's just a touch base for an hour here, 2 months before the program, and then another touch base a week before the program, want to see where they're at with that. And sometimes they have to stand in front of the room and say, I'm learning this too. This is new to me too. And that's okay, because our leaders are revered at Citi, and people will listen to them, and they're great role models. They're great partners for us in learning.
And in light of that, how do you develop special content for the people who are the experts?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Like, first thing that comes to mind is listening really closely to what the business is saying that they need, and trying to get there before they know it, before they know that that's what they need to do. And so for me and my team, a lot of it is like going to town halls and hearing what does Jamie Freese, the head of our investment bank, what are the words he keeps using, or Stephen Bird, the head of our commercial bank, or a CEO, or all different leaders. We have a lot of opportunities to go and listen to them or engage with them or have conversations with them. And sometimes it's us from where we sit as outsiders to the business, seeing those connection points across the different businesses and saying, we need to work more as a network instead of having this hierarchy. We need to be more client focused, and how can we tie and build up connect the skills that are needed to do that? How can we take that skill and break it down and translate it for Citi? So instead of calling it innovation, we'll call it forward compatibility. Those are words that resonate with our crowd, for example.
Yeah. Are there specific technology platforms or media platforms or even social platforms for learning that work well with executives in particular? Or is it any different than the ways you would serve up to other employees?
Yeah, no platforms work well with them.
I am not surprised.
I know. They are a very high-touch crowd. Yeah. They're so connected to their phones, and they use the most advanced platforms, even things that we've created internally for communicating or trading money. But when it comes to learning, I haven't figured that out.
Because I bet they're early adopters with technology and basically everything is
They really
cutting
are.
edge.
Yeah. They're very self-directed. So when they want to go to a learning program, they want to sit in a room with Jim Collins and have a conversation with him, or, you know, John Carter. They don't want to go to a program. Like, their needs are very specific. So we don't really do a lot of programs. Again, like, we'll engage them as teachers, you know, at the MD level or at the C-suite level. So where we have programs, and most of those still today, is when we bring people together. And what we find useful for that is we give them time to reflect off of the desk. We give them time to connect with each other. And that usually kind of peters out at the new MD level. Once they become a new MD, we have our last macro program. And then we don't really bring them back together that much. So they have this senior leadership offsite once a year, which is the top 300, which we do with them. But we don't have that many programs, and we don't use that many platforms with them. Not to say we haven't tried, we just haven't found anything that's been enduring, that's stuck.
Right.
So
So you probably have to change it up constantly,
Yeah.
really, to keep them
We're
engaged.
always trying. It's one of the things that my team does is we have vendor days where every quarter we bring in, we don't feel like we have to work with, you know, big global consultant firms. We want the best, the boutique consulting firms that are doing the most cutting edge things that resonate for our crowd. And so once a quarter we bring them in and wow us. What's your sweet spot, and how can we all experiment. And we did an experiment recently with a small social networking artificial intelligence group that worked great. Didn't think it would. So we'll keep trying until we find some of those, you know, diamonds in the rough.
Robots.
Yes, maybe. Fine.
Teaching the executives with robots.
Yes, that could be it.
So as the person facing such big challenges, what is learning for you? Why is it important to you?
It's so exciting, isn't it? Like, to keeps you young, you know. It's, you know, just speaking for me personally, like, you know, it's just invigorating. And like, every day is like a heart attack for me, though, you know, like, every day is new. And I think I can really be empathetic to our senior leaders of a bank, a large 200-year-old institution, one of the oldest industries in the world, that has to now be agile and nimble and adaptive and innovative. I bet they're having a heart attack every day. So I really do empathize with them. And I do think the difference is going to be the talent and the culture that is created that will either allow us to step into the future, or we won't even exist in 10 years. And I think it's an awesome challenge. Like, that's a huge, fun challenge. And I like the white space around that kind of challenge too, because nothing's ever changed this fast in, you know, I don't know if ever, but certainly not in my lifetime. The pace of change is incredible. And the answers that solved yesterday's problems, we don't even have the same problems. So there are no answers yet, so we're kind of writing it as we go. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And learning just being the same way. It really has to just kind of come out of thin
Yeah,
air these days.
It does.
Last question is, just what's something new you've learned lately?
Well, I wouldn't say it's recently, but it's gotten reactivated today. And just that we've so much focused on individuals in the past, and how we have to focus on teams, and how teaming and focusing on the health of teams and how people work together and the strength of teams, opposed to our high potential programs, and focusing on and pulling people out to go learn with a bunch of other random people for leadership programs. I don't think that's working anymore. And we have executive coaches for individuals, but we also have coaches for teams, but they're underutilized, at least at Citi. And so I'm really energized by the potential that we have if we start focusing on teams. I just need to get the rest of the organization to get on board with that vision.